We've come a long way since I produced a cinematic AI video for the first time. We excelled in cinematic super photorealism, and not just a single consistent character, but multiple consistent characters having a dialogue in the same scene, controlling the camera with highest accuracy, and now with Kling 1.6 elements feature, consistent objects, clothes, and environments allow creators to place an object at the center of the story, enabling us to create new ways of telling stories in AI filmmaking. In this video course, I will show you step-by-step full workflow for creating an AI film for the modern interpretation of King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table. In the story, King Arthur and the Round Table reimagined as a motorcycle gang, where Excalibur will be a custom-designed powerful motorcycle. In the process of generating this mini-film, I tested and tried many different things and accumulated a lot of practical ideas that I will share with you now, so you can save a lot of time. Now let's watch the AI film.
We don't ride for glory. We ride for the forgotten. I'm Arthur. They also call me the King. And this is Riders of Round Table. We protect people from Mordred's gang, thugs, bullies, corrupt cops, and more. The people in this town live in poverty, with only one factory providing jobs. Mordred family, the owner of the factory, has controlled everything here for generations. The city is slowly rotting.
You think you're the king, Arthur? You're no one. Those are my people. They owe me. I give them food, I give them health. Without my money, they're nothing.
Someday, Teddy, you'll get better and learn to ride a motorcycle. I promise. It's a junk. I don't think anyone would be interested in this.
That's what they all said, until someone proved them wrong.
It's ancient, but the frame is solid.
Machines like this don't die, Arthur. They wait for the right hands.
Maybe I can make this work.
Arthur, I heard you're working on something special.
How did you learn?
I mixed up a little magic for you. Don't drink it. You know what to do.
Merlin, I still need something to take down the mayor's drone army.
A truck full of EMP devices rolling through 34th Street in 2 days. Get your crew. Stop that truck. And Arthur, it's never just about the bike. It's the rider that makes the difference.
We've ruled this land since my grandfather's time. We are the Mordreds. No, this isn't your kingdom. You can't reach me. I'm untouchable. A century of power and no one can turn their back on me or what I represent. The true ruler is Mordred.
We will eliminate kings, so people will live. The ones who hoard power, who rule from their towers, who turn the streets into prisons. This isn't just a fight, it's a reckoning. And when the dust settles, the roads will belong to the people again. No more crowns, no more kingdoms.
This video consists of 4 main parts, covering the full process with a detailed deep dive. I've added chapters for your convenience. Let's get started. I would like to start with image to video using Kling 1.6 to show you particularly how to create scenes with consistent objects and characters together. To achieve this scene, I use Kling's new elements feature, which allows you to upload multiple images. Then Kling combines these elements and produces a final output. In this example, you will see a consistent usage of Excalibur motorcycle and Arthur himself. To achieve this, I uploaded 2 images. First one, Arthur's image. And by the way, we will deep dive into producing these images in a second. And second image I uploaded as an element was Excalibur motorcycle. When it comes to order of images uploaded here, I would recommend you to stick to your prompt order, meaning that if you mention the man at the beginning of your prompt, then add image of man as a first element. I wrote the man is riding the motorcycle on the highway while camera is following them. So we mentioned 2 of these elements, and most importantly, I mentioned the context between each other, meaning that I want this man to ride this motorcycle. This is very important for Kling to make sense out of the images you uploaded. Prompting is critical. On the second part of the prompt, I mentioned a camera motion, and then I reached to this final output. In this example, I used 2 elements again. I used truck as an element, and I used Excalibur with Arthur on it. I wrote the prompt, man in the motorcycle is chasing the truck on the highway. So in the end, I used this footage. It looked more like we are passing by the truck, but still it was usable. In this next example, I removed the truck, again using Freepik's in painting. I just put the highway, and I used again Arthur and Excalibur together, and ended up with this video. You may expect Kling to struggle with this strange looking motorcycle, but it managed to keep it consistent. And of course, if you aim for like even more enhanced consistency for your character's face, while uploading the elements, I think it would be a good idea to upload a close-up shot to make the face really obvious. Here's another example of a clever usage of elements feature again. So here I uploaded image of Arthur and an EMP device. So note that if you're gonna use a consistent object, I would highly recommend you to use it with a white background. You can easily do that by Freepik because it has automatic background changer. So once you upload these elements, I wrote man finds an electronic device, and Kling was able to build the context. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of morphing here, so I needed to cut that part, but besides that, elements worked really well together. For the most of the video, I actually use regular image to video. And I will show you a couple of examples where I use initial image as a starting frame, and I combine this with camera movement as well. Best way to do that is mentioning the camera movement in your prompt. And prompting is really fun on Kling because prompt understanding is really advanced. I recommend this format. You can start with describing a little bit the scene, and you don't need to go into too much details, but it's really crucial to give the model some context. So you can start with your subject and what's happening in the image, or simply if there is an event happening like an explosion or a gunfight or whatever, you can mention this at the beginning of your prompt, then use while as your bridge and connect that to a camera movement. Let me show you an example. Here, for example, I started with this initial image here, Arthur and the round table, and I use same exact structure that I mentioned, man in the center talks. This is basically events, other man listens. I use while to connect this to a camera movement. Camera slowly zooms in. And it gave me exactly what I asked for in a perfect way. There are plenty of camera movements you can use. Kling is very good with understanding all these camera motion types. The most obvious one is definitely zooming in, zooming out. And you can use simply camera slowly zooms in or camera slowly zooms out. Or alternatively, you can use camera slowly pulls back. And this will create a zoom out effect, meaning stepping back from your subject. And obviously, zooming in is getting closer to the subject. The cool thing is you can actually set the speed of the camera movement. You can simply use slowly or fast in your prompt, and this will set the pace of the camera movement. To be honest with you, I don't use camera pan and tilt that often in my videos, but I'm still mentioning here in case you may need to use it at some point. In this particular example, I use orbiting camera. So crane pulls the metal out from swamp. The first part is about the event. I have bridge word, and after that I added camera orbits around the subject. Very straightforward, perfect implementation from Kling. Very clear, concise prompt, and we got exactly what we asked for. And again, of course, I started with an initial frame. Now, not that you can use camera circles around or camera orbits around. It's basically the same thing. If you have a landscape shot that you want to show, extreme wide shot or scenic shot can be really ideal. But most of the time when it comes to landscape shots, I prefer to use aerial drone camera moves forward or aerial drone camera moves up. In my mind, I imagine this more like I'm operating a drone when it comes to landscape. I think this particular shot will be a good example. I started with aerial drone moves forward, and I also added a scenic shot. But even if I wouldn't add scenic shot, actually aerial drone moves forward would be already sufficient to create this nice city landscape footage. Another example of aerial drone moves forward is pretty much the same thing. Now, when it comes to aerial drone camera moves up, this has some additional context. I tested many times that Kling doesn't really recognize crane shot, meaning that moving the camera vertically up or down with a smooth motion. So Kling struggles with that little bit. And to create this particular effect, most of the time I use aerial drone camera moves up. And this will give you a crane shot. For example, this particular shot, this is a textbook crane shot because we are moving the camera vertically up. You can also do that vertically down. It's really great to set the context. If you are, for example, changing to a new location, you can start with this. Here's another example of crane shot. Aerial drone moves up. So you can see the smooth crane shot up in here. Next example is good old time stationary camera, static shot. I use this all the time because I put a lot of effort to my initial frames while I'm generating those images. And most of the time I don't need a camera movement. So you can see here, man is working on the equipment while camera is stationary. Every single time I use this particular prompt, it gave me exactly what I asked for. This next example is about POV shot or first person view. And here I simply started POV camera, slowly enters to the bar. It's very straightforward. I really like this one because it kind of puts the audience in the shoes of your character. It's almost like you are there with them. Another example of a POV camera enters to the scene as cheerful man greets us. And here's another example of first-person view, POV shot of hyperspeed motorcycle pass by the burning car. And this is something occasionally I struggle with Kling. Even though I wrote hyperspeed, I didn't get this strong speed sensation. But you can speed this footage up in post-production, which will give you a much smoother hyperspeed effect. If that's something you want to do, you can try handheld camera together with first-person view as well. But for most of the people, actually, you don't need to remember all these fancy camera movement words. You can just simply write camera is focusing on something, camera is following something, or camera is tracking something. So this is the easiest way to control your camera on Kling. In this particular example, I wrote man rides motorcycle fast while camera is following him. Very straightforward shot that we simply want camera to follow Arthur here. Here we have an example for truck driving on the highway while camera following it. Very straightforward. And another good example of man rides motorcycle fast while camera is following them. Another simple way of using the camera movement. I also want to show you quickly the lip syncing using Kling 1.6. So in order to lip sync, first you need to generate a video. And I have some recommendations for generating the video. You can first mention that she's talking calmly while the camera is stationary. And here we don't have lip sync yet. We are just creating a footage basically where she's talking. After that, you hit lip sync. And I had my local dubbing that I already created using another tool. So I will upload here the local dubbing. Kling supports lip syncing as long as your original video is. Simply, if you have a longer sentence that you want your character to say or multiple sentences, I highly recommend you to start with 10 seconds footage. By this way, you won't get your sentence got cut in half and things will be much easier. Then once the processing is done, you will get the lip sync.
Machines like this don't die, Arthur. They wait for the right hands.
Here's another example where I have multiple characters. And here it was a little bit of luck that actually which character's mouth will be moving, because if you have multiple characters, it's a little bit random that which character Kling chooses. But most of the time, Kling picked the character on the left side. And in this original footage, you will realize that I just wrote man and woman calmly looking at each other while camera is stationary, because I knew I was gonna build a lip sync on top of it. So that's why I just preferred them to stare at each other calmly. And I highly recommend you to use word calmly, because sometimes when you just wrote man and woman looking at each other, their movements are not really natural, and there are sudden movements creates morphings and problems. So I highly recommend you to use calmly. By this way, you will have this nice footage where you can just build a lip syncing on top of it.
Arthur, I heard you're working on something special.
Another example. And for all of these shots, I started with an initial video. And this is basically the original footage before lip syncing. I wrote the scenery and described that POV camera enters the scene and man is cheerful. And then I clicked on lip sync and built the lip sync on top of this original footage. Similar example here, man is looking at her while camera is stationary. He's just looking at her. And then on top of it, I added the lip syncing here.
It's a junk. I don't think anyone would be interested in this.
A truck full of EMP devices rolling through 34th Street in 2 days.
This one worked really well, actually.
Get your crew. Stop that truck. And Arthur, it's never just about...
That's why if you have a long sentence, you should start with the 10 seconds long original video. This is how lip syncing works. You simply start with an original video. You can write as a prompt, the man talks calmly, or man is looking at the camera calmly. And if there is a specific emotion you want to mention, like if you want man to talk with happiness or cheerful way, you can definitely add this to your original prompt while generating the footage. So your character will be smiling while talking. And if you want to generate some B-rolls, I have some great news for you, because today, Google's Veo 2 is now available on Freepik. So it's even available in Europe, that you can use it everywhere. In order to do that, you need to visit the AI video generator from Freepik's main page, and you will be landed here. And you need to click on this Google Veo 2 banner and hit try it now. And you have Google Veo 2 available on Freepik. In the upcoming days, I will have a deep dive video about Veo 2 and controlling the camera for cinematic videos. So stay tuned for that. But I wanted to share this news already with you. So if you have a Freepik account, you can use Veo 2 today. Now I will show you how I created initial frames with multiple consistent characters and consistent characters shown together in the same scene. I think this is gonna be really interesting for you. So for this job, I am using a Flux model that I found online. For this kind of production, still the best method is training a character. Freepik is offering the character training, which I will come in a second. But for this job, for training our character, we need images or photos of the character from multiple perspectives. That's why we are using this tool here, and you can find link down in the description below. This tool allows us to basically describe our character in detail, and it gives you a 3x3 grid where you have the same character from multiple perspectives. When you visit the link, you will see that model comes with predefined prompt already. It starts with the image composite of 9 photographs arranged in 3x3 grid. And after this point, you need to describe your character. For my character description, I took some help from ChatGPT, but of course you can use DeepSeek or Grok 3. It's up to you. So I wrote simply the synopsis and some details and characters and some of the scenes I taught. And in the end, I asked, based on everything mentioned above, can you write a prompt describing Arthur, include physical details, outfit, and a lot of details. So simply I wanted a detailed description here. And I did same for Merlin and Lady of the Lake as well. And then I copy-pasted this description here to the prompt section. Then you will see rest of the stuff is already set in the model. I hit run, and it generated this image for me. Of course, if you don't like how character looks, you can rerun and rerun until you are happy with the final result. And by the way, you can use this model on fall.ai. But if you want to use local options in your own computer, I'm also adding link from civit.ai. You can download this model and run it locally as well. Next thing we will do is, once we have our grid with our characters, we need to separate this grid into pieces. For this job, you can use one of the online splitters, and this will cut image into pieces automatically. Here my image that I created using this model and upscaled with Magnific. I'm uploading this to online splitter, and I'm gonna choose split into pieces, 3 rows, 3 columns, and I hit split image. Okay, and then it's splitted image for me, and after that I downloaded all of the images and then came back to Freepik. The cool thing about Freepik is we can train our character here. I go to character selector, and you will see I already trained Merlin, Lady Lake, and Arthur characters before. And for my villain, I actually use one of the existing trained character. If you want to train a new character, you hit plus new character. You need to name your character. Let's say Lorem Ipsum. You need to choose the gender. And then you need to upload images we created using Flux model and image splitter. And 12 images of Arthur are here. So let me show you. Basically, they are taken from multiple perspectives. It's the same character. And then we choose all of them, hit upload, and I want ultra quality. And then I hit create character. And this will create the training. Okay, once you trained your custom character, you are good to go. You can simply generate any scene with your consistent character. It's really super easy. For example, I can write cinematic photo of Arthur. It already suggests me. It pulls the character from my trained characters list. And you can also edit manually from here by choosing Arthur. I recommend you to keep this slider at 100% because if you drop it to less of a strength, then you will see characters' faces, clothes change quite a lot. Of course, if you really require you to change characters' hairstyle or clothing according to your storyline, then maybe you can drop it around 80 to 90%, but not more than that, because then character consistency drops quite a lot. I have now cinematic photo of Arthur. Let's break the character playing guitar on a beach. As a model, I like to use Mystic 2.5. I think it's a great model. It works really well with trained character models, and it has some cinematic qualities. So I'm a big fan of Magnific Mystic 2.5. And in fact, they have a new model called Fluid, and I will show you this in a second. It's a fantastic model. So we pick this and set the aspect ratio, and we hit generate. Okay, and simply we created Arthur pausing here, playing a guitar on the beach. Same way here. You can use other models as well. With trained characters, you can use only Flux and Mystic 2.5. So that's one limitation we have here. But I think Mystic here with the trained character will be already sufficient for your needs. We can even change the camera angle or shot type. Let's say low angle fashion photo of Arthur posing with a cool outfit. Okay, and here we got the low angle shot. It's an interesting fashion photo, but as you can see, it's possible to change the camera angle as well, because Mystic's prompt understanding is pretty sufficient for most of your needs. And what we can do now that we can hit edit image, and after that we can further upscale this image to improve the textures and details. For this job, you can see that Freepik has direct integration with Magnific, and it's exactly the same user interface that we are using on Magnific, but actually moved to the Freepik, which is pretty cool. I recommend you to choose Portrait Soft to ensure that your character's consistency will remain and stay coherent. That's very important. And these settings come with pre-selected sliders. I would recommend you to maybe keep creativity around 2, improve resemblance around 6 to 7, and fractality is up to you. If you increase it with close-up shots, you will realize some like annoying dots on the face. I don't recommend you to play with this, but if it is like a image with a distant face, it's probably okay to increase it. For now, I will keep it as it is, and I hit upscale. And then this process will start to upscale your image. You can follow up the progress here. One advantage of using Magnific's own website is they have bulk upscale, meaning that you can generate all your images and then just upload them all together to Magnific website and bulk upscale them. I believe this feature is not yet been moved into Freepik. You need to always upscale one by one. And upscaling is done. You can see that we got some additional layers and realism by this process, and I highly recommend you to do that. Okay, next thing I want to show you is multiple consistent characters in the same scene. So let's say you have a dialogue scene where you want 2 characters doing something in the scene together. It can be that they are talking, or can be that they are running, walking together, whatever. For this job, even though it looks funny, you need to start with a mannequin in the same scene. Meaning that in my original prompt, I started with a character Arthur first and a blonde woman in the swamp area in forest talking together. That's the scene. Of course, because of strong character reference of Arthur, my character also turned into Arthur's face with some blonde hair here. We need to fix this image. So for that, I hit Edit Image, and I come to Retouch here, and this will activate Freepik's in-painting mode, which is a great tool. So I'm going to increase the brush size, and I'm going to first change the character's face. As you can see, it's better to do this step by step instead of doing everything together. I selected my character's face. I pick character from the selector here, and I'm going to choose Lady Lake, a character I trained before, using exact same method I showed you a couple of minutes ago. So here you can see I trained Lady Lake's face using the same flux tool, and then I splitted these images and uploaded them to Freepik to train a character. I selected the mannequin's face, and I'm going to choose Lady Lake, and I'm going to hit Retouch. 0.7 pre-selected value I think is pretty good, because if you increase it too much, that image gets super weird. And if you decrease it, of course, obviously you lose the coherence. So I would recommend you to keep it at 0.7. This is a very good balanced number, and you hit Retouch. Then you will see that our character's face already changed. In this scene, my character from Lady Lake had an outfit of a blue denim coat and white t-shirt underneath that. To reflect that, I'm choosing the body part here, and I'm gonna type the prompt, blue denim coat with white t-shirt under it. And when it comes to mode, if you have a Pro account, you can choose Pro option, which will bring you two options that you can choose from. This most of the time brings what you need. Auto mode brings you always 6 options. So in the grid, you have more options that I can show you. For example, here we retouch, and it brings you 6 options that you can choose from. And this is really great because you can create a character with like exact perfect outfit that fits to the scene. We can play with the color, however you want this character to be shown. It's completely up to you. And this is how you can create scenes with 2 or even more multiple consistent characters posing together. So here's another example that again I started with the mannequin, and after that I updated my character's face, and finally I changed the outfit. So Arthur and Lady from the Lake are walking together in this shot. And let me show you something super cool. For example, I started with this shot again with a mannequin here, but you will realize that this person doesn't look like Lady from the Lake. I selected using Freepik's in-painting the brush option, and then I chose Lady from the Lake character, and it changed it to the exact character's appearance, but from like backside. So it also works with perspectives, and that's pretty cool. You can change the character wherever the camera is, it's gonna reflect the characters consistently. And finally, of course, I updated the outfit to match the context of the scene. So you probably remember that I mentioned I used Freepik's in-painting to put Arthur on top of the Excalibur here. And you can see that I actually started with this original image of Excalibur. I first expanded it a little bit to give some space for Arthur here. And then I put a random dude as a mannequin on top of the motorcycle. And then I simply selected my character's face. I picked Arthur as a character for the face in in-painting mode, and I ended up with this image. So this is how you can add your character to different contextual scenes in your AI films. And while designing Excalibur motorcycle, I actually used Midjourney because I'm still a big fan of Midjourney. I used a futuristic looking motorcycle and an Excalibur image I found online, and then I simply added these 2 images as image prompts. And I didn't even type any prompt, I simply merged them. So I ended up with this. After that, I put this image as an image prompt, and I wrote photo of a sword-like motorcycle as a prompt, and I ended up with this. After that, I used in-painting to add a front wheel, and I changed and updated some parts for the final design. And next thing I want to show you is for generating some B-rolls, I actually use Mystic's new AI image model called Fluid. And Fluid is a combination of Google Imagen 3's prompt understanding and Magnific's strong visual output. It generates incredible cinematic images. And for this job, you need to pick Mystic 2.5. And as a model, you need to choose Fluid. Here in this particular image, for example, I wrote cinematic low-angle photo of homeless poor people in extreme poverty in Detroit streets. Okay, and then you will see that it gave me exactly what I wanted, including low angle shot, because now you have Google Imagen Tree's prompt understanding here, plus cinematic photorealism from Magnific, and it just takes everything to a whole new level. I want to mention about creative detailing slider because it makes a difference if you are using Mystic's fluid model. For example, you can see creative detailing 78% and creative detailing 33%. You will realize that in 33% we have a little bit less prominent faces. The distant faces looks a little bit more, let's say, not so distinct, whereas when you have 78% creative detailing, it's a little bit more distinct faces and well rendered. So I would highly recommend you to play with this slider and find your sweet spot. But I would recommend you to aim for around 70 to 75% for optimal results. By the way, we are getting closer to 100,000 subscribers thanks to your amazing support. Please subscribe to the channel so we can reach this milestone together as one big jungle family. To train the Merlin character, I actually use good old FOV-R consistent character model on Replicate. I already showed you this before, so this part I will skip quickly, but you can simply generate images of the same character from multiple perspectives. And facial expressions are not important because you can actually generate facial expressions with Kling. So while generating the video, you can give character some emotion. Again, you can find the link in the description below. Okay, I also want to show you a little bit of the ideation process because until now we mainly dealt with high fidelity visuals like videos and consistent characters and upscaled images, but there is whole backstage of this work, meaning that we first start with ideation process and then continue with high fidelity stuff. For this job, I used a combination of ChatGPT and DeepSeek together. This step is important to develop the initial storyline and initial ideation. So I started with this prompt: help me write 30 scenes for a mini-film with following synopsis details, set in California, keep the characters extremely consistent. I wrote this small paragraph here. This was the initial idea in my mind, the modern adaptation of King Arthur and Round Table, Excalibur basically being a motorcycle. I added characters in my mind, which was obviously King Arthur and the gang members. Excalibur is not a character, but it's an element in the story. Merlin is the bartender who prepares best cocktails. Merlin's bar, Lady of the Lake. And after that, I added some of the scenes I imagined. I wrote like around 7-8 scenes, just some initial ideas or let's say pictures I imagined. And after that, I asked DeepSeek to complete the remaining scenes. And I also turn on DeepThink R1 here to ensure that it's gonna be advanced reasoning. DeepSeek then created 13 scenes for me. There were some existing scenes. AI added 22 new scenes for the film. So you can see like some of these I used, some I didn't. And in the end, there were some character consistency notes, Arthur's description, Merlin's description, Lady of the Lake. And in the end, I used these notes to create visual descriptions for my characters. And once I had the scenes defined, I decided to create image prompts that I can simply copy paste to Freepik to create scenes with my characters. So for this job, I wrote the film description again and I asked, please write 35 prompts that will be used in above film using AI image generation tool based on scenes described down below. And the most important part is I added a prompt structure here that I wanted every prompt to start with cinematic photo. I wanted a camera angle, subject or action, and with muted colors. As a suggestion, I also asked DeepSeek to add a suggested camera motion that I thought I can use with Kling. For every scene, basically, I would have an initial frame and a suggested camera motion. And after that, I attached scenes I took from DeepSeek. And of course, I cleared up a little bit and organized because this part is really important that I wanted to have the final scenes nicely consolidated here. And then DeepSeek wrote prompts for me for every scene. And you will see that it mentions characters as well. So it's pretty cool because then on Freepik side, you can just put @Arthur here and it will pick automatically the trained character on Freepik. And you will see that there is also suggested camera motion, tracking shot following the bike, handheld shake, drone shot, zoom in. So this really also simplifies the production process. Then based on all of these scenes and storyline, I also created visual descriptions of characters, which was actually an interesting method because usually people start with visual descriptions of character, But this time I thought, okay, how about story dictates the visual description, and I'm happy with the result. Based on all of this information and prompts and scenes, you can, of course, create a storyboard as well. You can use ChatGPT or Grok 3 or any other large language model for this job too. When it comes to audio and sound design, I would say this is a crucial step for really great AI films. You need to have sound design, and it's as important as visuals. And there are so many options that you can use. For example, Audio is a great tool. You can upload a video here, and based on the video, it generates audio effects. Let's try one, for example. So I'm gonna upload this video, for example, where Arthur rides the motorcycle, and we will try to generate audio from video. Let's write a prompt. Man rides a motorcycle. No negative prompt. I hit generate audio. It's starting. Okay, it's done. Let's hear the result. It's pretty awesome. By this way, you can generate audio directly from video, which is really a great and simplified way of doing things. Another way to generate sound effects is again Freepik. Freepik has this mode as well. So you can hit, for example, start generating, and you can create sound for your videos using text to audio. Let's write, man rides a motorcycle and passes by. Okay, and then we hit generate. You can also set the duration and creativity if you want to increase variations, or you can generate up to maximum 22 seconds of audio effects. Let's hear it, some options. Pretty awesome actually, and it would be sufficient for majority of generic sounds. The option I like to use is epidemic sounds because I have already account here. Here there is no text to audio option. There are already pre-created sound effects that you can pick from. They are extremely high quality, so you can write motorcycle and it's gonna bring a lot of motorcycle sounds for you. You can pick one of these and it's kind of simple. When it comes to text to speech, you can use Hylio Audio. It's a new tool, and I will probably make a deep dive into this tool very soon. You can use it for speech synthesis. You can also clone your own voice if you want to have a character talking with your own voice. And the cool thing is you can also like set emotions, sad, angry, surprised, whatever. So you can choose the emotion, speed, and volume. You can choose a character voice, and they have like incredible amount of variety of different voices for different genders, then age groups and accents. It's a pretty awesome tool. And there's also one of my favorites, Play.ai. The cool thing about this tool is it has conversation mode that I showed you before. So simply you can put labels here like speaker 1, speaker 2, and you can then pick every speaker's voice, and then very quickly you can create a dialogue. We can quickly test this one here.
All right, so instead of our regularly scheduled programming, there's something hairier that came across my feed last night that I just need to discuss.
Wait, where is this going?
You got the point. That really simplifies dialogue creation. And when it comes to bringing everything together, I actually use CapCut. I'm a big fan of this tool. You can see the final project looks like this. It was a very complex project because there was a lot going on in the story, but you can see that majority of the stuff is actually sound design. I use a lot of clips for ensuring that sound is properly designed. I think I had around 45 to 50 clips for the final result. Also edit captions using CapCut's auto caption tool. Super easy, and you can bring everything together in this tool. And hopefully this video was truly helpful for you. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe for more in-depth tutorials. If you want to learn more about creative AI tools, click here.